our viewers already talking about Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson. She's back in the hot seat again today in her confirmation hearing for the Supreme Court. Now, yesterday she was asked a lot of questions about some very hot button issues. One question getting attention was the definition of the word woman. Well, this, of course, is about the controversy surrounding trans women being allowed to compete in women's sports. Take a look at this exchange with Senator Marsha Blackburn of Tennessee.
Can you provide a definition for the word woman?
Can I provide a definition? No.
Yeah.
I can't.
You can't?
Not in this context.
So
I'm not a biologist.
The meaning of the fact that you can't give me a straight answer about something as fundamental as what a woman is underscores the dangers of the kind of progressive education that we are hearing about.
Okay. Erica, what do you think of Judge Jackson's answer and the question?
Yeah, well, I think the question, I would have been curious as to Senator Blackburn's definition of a woman, but also I think that Judge Jackson answered it exactly the way she should have. We're looking at her as to be a judge on the Supreme Court, not to be a biologist. So she would have gotten to the X's and Y's of it all. That would have been confusing to me. It would be like going to a chef and asking him about mechanical issues with my car. I'm going to this person for their specialty, not for, you know, what their insights are on this particular subject.
Jeff, I don't know how you feel. I mean, it's a question that is performative. We're going to see that on both sides. And it's a question that I feel like it was a gotcha question, and I feel like the judge recognized that. Because when you start talking about what is a woman, first of all, definitions are fluid. They change. Language changes. But also when you have something that kind of opaque and vague, like what does tall mean to you, Jeff? Is it 6'2" or 5'11" or 6'7"? Like these kinds of things that we discuss have nuance that you can go, nope, that's not tall. Webster says 5'11". That's not what we're talking about. What we're using is the trans issue as a way to signal to your base that I'm on your side and I'm going to throw this gotcha question at this person. That's all it was about. I don't think Marsha Blackburn has a lot of interest in trans rights. I don't think that's her platform. I could be wrong, but I do think that this is where we are now with our politics, Jeff. It's just performative. And as a citizen, as somebody that's raising children in this world, I'd like our senators to be doing other things rather than trying to win the internet.
I couldn't agree more. It's a gotcha question, right? If someone asked me that during an interview, what's a woman to you? I would be a deer in headlights. Because, like,
too.
if I
what would you say?
I'm not even going to try to answer that because I've grown so much in this business that if I even try, I'm going to put somebody else off, right? What about trans? What about this? What about?
So was her answer?
Her answer was right on point. You do not answer. And Sam, it goes back to that time that what a great learning lesson. Remember Bill Cosby and that woman tried to get me and you stepped in because
set the scene really quick.
Well, I was about to answer this question. She's like, what, you didn't party in college? Trying to get me to admit my faults, and then you jumped in and you're like, Jeff is not on trial.
She was trying to equate that
right.
if Jeff ever drank before becoming intimate with a woman, she was trying to equate that with some of the things Cosby did, and she was leading you down that path.
And I didn't know that. Now being on television a little longer, right when I heard that question, I'm like, don't answer that, and she didn't. And now people are giving her poop.
Flack. Flack.
See, again, I might have just belted that out a year ago. So, but they're giving her some, and she answered it correctly, because if you answer that, you're going to put some people off. A lot of people are like, what is with all the erroneous questions? I would say the same thing on the other side, just to bring it up. Do you like beer? Does that have to do with you being a judge? That went over and over and over and over again. I don't like the questions on either side. I think Judge Jackson is doing a great job. No one's talking about the credit that we're giving her. Perfectly qualified. There's no doubt she's going to get in, right? 50 senators are going to vote for her. Even if it's a 50-50 tie, which it might very well be, it's going to go to Vice President Harris, and she's going to break the tie, and she's in. So she's in. So I think what the Republicans are doing are just trying to get their point of view out there. They're trying to get headlines out there. Why wouldn't you answer that question?
It's a circus.
It is a circus, and that's what I said yesterday. But I do want to give credit to Judge Jackson, the way she's handling it. She's not letting it fall to her. She's not getting upset like I would do, or angry, or what's with that question? I would fold under the questioning and be like, you know what? You're out of order. But she's doing a great job.
We have have to talk about another hot button issue that Judge Jackson was asked about. Now, it was critical race theory and it being taught in schools. Senator Ted Cruz asked her about her stance on a specific book. The book is called The Antiracist Baby. That's on the reading list of a private school where the judge sits on the board. Here's a look at some of that exchange.
Do you agree with this book that is being taught with kids that babies are racist?
I do not believe that any child should be made to feel as though they are racist. Senator, I have not reviewed any of those books, any of those ideas. They don't come up in my work as a judge, which I'm respectfully here to address.
How did you feel she answered that question, Erica?
Okay, Judge Jackson is spot on, like, regardless of what's thrown her way. And much to her credit, and what we talked about yesterday was the fact that she is more qualified than anyone who is currently sitting on the Supreme Court right now. She checks every single one of the boxes when, especially over the past 2 years, we've seen people who have only checked 3, 2, 4. So when she answered that question, also we have to have a side note that is Tori's alma mater.
Yep, Tori went to school there.
Yes, so I know that some people are feeling like this is representative of their lives and where their kids would go to school. I assure you it is not. So when we're talking about curriculum, that also goes to show why so many parents should actively be involved in what's happening in their schools with their children, because not understanding that this is a very private school, a very elite private school, might kind of distract people from what the actual.
To Erica's point, to Erica's point really quickly,
please.
Those parents, because we talked to Tori about this earlier, those parents picked this school specifically because of curriculum like this, because it's very progressive. They want to teach their children to be upstanders, to be anti-racist. First of all, just because the word racism is in a book doesn't mean that it's somehow making your white child feel like a racist. Right. Many of Sophie's books are pared down psychologically to be that age appropriate, to teach her how to be an ally, to teach her. And it's things that you wouldn't even realize. It just steps upon it to where they get to a certain age when you hope that they're teaching from such an age-appropriate young age finally pays off later on.
Right, absolutely. And when we start talking about things like CRT, anything like that, there's an easy place that we always go to, which is the straw man argument. And what I mean by that is when we take a weird specific example, like Tori's Georgetown Day School, private school in D.C., nobody's kid is going there. But that's what we're talking about, instead of the thousands of public schools that will be affected by legislation that will be slanted by using that example. And so it's...
Public schools aren't even taught CRT. That's a college course. But no one knows that. People think 5-year-olds are being taught.
They don't want to know it. But I also find it interesting, to your point earlier about how things are pared down for a child your child's age. No one was asking those questions or bringing up those arguments when I was reading the N-word and I was the only black child in an all-white classroom. Right. No one was considering what my feelings were being isolated in that way when I had kids that were in the corner who were snickering because they thought it was hilarious that we were reading those words. So it's interesting that we're having those conversations now, that we're so sensitive about it, but there are generations of us who were never considered in that way.